we're kind of winding down the first half of Season 2, and I have to say, numbers have been great. 4,000 and something plays, close to 2,700 downloads. As promised, since we got 3,200 likes on Facebook, we handed out, or at least I handed out, some Season 1 episodes. But one of the more interesting things that we talked about was Evil Dead. That it seems in 2015 we're moving forward. We're getting episode 7 with the original cast. Or, a mummified Carrie Fisher and, just saying is all. But we're getting...
Yeah,
we're moving...
revitalize original characters, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting the original cast. Oh, I have no problem with Star Wars. I'm stoked for this one. I'm more pissed off in the fact that I lucked out with other tickets, but again, I didn't want to exhaust what we were doing.
What tickets did you luck out with?
Oh, Gem and the Holograms.
Oh, yeah,
too bad because they just got pulled.
right after 2 weeks.
Oh, but I bought it from
2 weeks.
but I got it
pulled.
from a scalper. Seriously, there was this bus outside the theater that, like, you donate blood, you get free...
Did it say free candy, Jeremy? Because you need to stay away from those.
Well, no, it said if you donate blood, you get free movie tickets, so... anything I wanted to see. So, right before Gem got pulled, I saw it.
Good for you.
I gave blood for that movie, yeah. The less we talk about that one, the better. Yeah, it really was that big piece of shit that we discussed, but... what we are going to discuss is Ash vs. Evil Dead. Now, what I did last year for Season 1, while those of you were trying to understand what Katy Perry was singing during the halftime show with the Sharks and the More You Know star, I decided to record my viewing of the Evil Dead musical that I got to see in Pennsylvania, and as well as I got to see, well, Todd, you were in Vegas, but I guess you didn't get to see it.
I have seen the Evil Dead musical. I found a DVD of it at a convention years ago, and I bought a couple different things, and I think that was one of the freebies, but it actually ended up being a really great little gem that I purchased. So it's been a while since I watched it, but I remember it fondly. It was actually pretty good.
Okay, first of all, I hate you because the version that I got at a convention just had people sitting in front of a shadow pretending they see the book. That was it. But I did see it live. I did see it in the Splatter Zone, of all things. Yeah, not only that, I got sprayed with the High C Tropical Punch blood. But, yeah. So, and I have the soundtrack. But, over the years, as you know, we were waiting... there were rumors of Army of Darkness 2. There were rumors of Evil Dead 4. There were rights issues, and then Sam Raimi, of course, came along and said, well, I got Spider-Man money now, and I'm doing Spider-Man sequels. So, we never thought we were going to get it. And then, of course, it just got rebooted 2 years ago. Did anybody see the 2013 version?
Yes.
Okay. Thoughts on this one?
It's actually amazing. It was a very well done remake.
The only thing I don't like about it is the fact that Bruce Campbell was in the end credits and he said groovy and that was it.
I'm okay with that.
That is kind of disappointing.
Yeah, he has nothing. Here's the good thing about it, though. And I will praise the 2013 version for one reason and one reason only. I like the fact that it remakes the original Evil Dead, not Dead by Dawn. So when you have 5 kids in the cabin now, it makes more sense than it did with, dare I say, Shelley and, who the other 3 that were with Ash.
Right.
So that makes more sense. Dead by Dawn is untouchable. Army of Darkness, well, I bought the collector's edition. And of course I have My Name is Bruce, another one that I reviewed last year for Season 1 when I had cabin fever. But the pilot came out, and I could not believe that on Halloween, a minute after midnight, no less, on Starz, they gave us a nice little treat where 1 minute after midnight you got to see the premiere episode before they were going to show it again at 9 p.m. that night. So while I was uploading episodes of HunnicWeen before I passed out, I got to watch the pilot El Jefe. And then I got to watch it again. And then you have Starz Play, and I've watched it about 15 times already. I've watched the second episode about 6, which is Bait. So, needless to say, it's not the best of the worst, but it is moving forward. And it's interesting, and it kind of actually...
How many times have you watched the episode?
Total, 21. If you count El Jefe and Bait. Those 2 episodes.
I saw the first episode once.
It's Bruce Campbell. Bruce Campbell. A man that I almost got fired to go to a convention to get the autograph. And then, unfortunately, because of time restraints, he had to go bye-bye. But he was still a very gracious man. So,
yeah, I met him a few years ago when he came out with his second book. How to Make Love the Bruce Campbell Way, and he did it was a combination book signing and screening of Man with the Screaming Brain, and he did a Q&A with with everybody, and he was just as funny and charming and really gracious and every other positive adjective you could think of.
Well,
he's great.
Yeah, here's the thing though. He's always trying to promote Screaming Brain wherever you go. You want to watch My Name is Bruce before anybody else could? Yeah, but you have to watch Man with Screaming Brain. You want to do a Q&A with him? Yeah, but you got to watch Screaming Brain. He did a Kickstarter a couple months ago where if you donated, did the crowdfunding for his game show, you were going to get a Q&A session with him. Unfortunately, the Kickstarter only lasted about 30 days, and he wasn't able to raise the $250,000 to bring back this game show that he was working on, which was awesome. It's kind of like Jeopardy, but everything dedicated to 80s horror movies, sci-fi. It's some sort of it was called Geekcom or something.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know if he was going to be the host or he was just going to be one of the creators, but one of the pledges, you were going to have a Q&A session with him. So I don't know if it was limited to 30 people. I don't know, I guess for $100, 30, each one would get an hour to talk to him. I don't know exactly how this was going to work. It was kind of foggy with the details, but whatever happened, it got canceled, and he was kind of okay with it, but then he came around and said, well, we're getting Ash vs. Evil Dead, and that was pretty much it, and there was much rejoicing. So, that, as far as I'm concerned, he's been in a lot of shows that don't seem to work for some reason. Briscoe County Jr., Jack of All Trades, I have them all on DVD, legally too, I might add. Briscoe County's not on Blu-ray, though. I don't know why. A Jack of All Trades, it's him, but it's a very odd show. It deals with, after he wins the American Revolution, he's asked to go to France to take down Napoleon. It's a totally different timeline. I know, there's decades apart, but it's just him going there and dressing up, I guess, as like Zorro. And Mini-Me is Napoleon. It was a very bizarre show. It was actually before the CW, I think when it was still the WB. So, yeah, so it was out in 2001, too. It only lasted about 2 seasons. And that was pretty much it. I mean, he's been in a lot of movies. I haven't seen all of them. I have not seen Moontrap. I think it's finally out on DVD. And I've just gotten From Dusk to Dawn 2 because he's in it, even though he's only in it for 5 minutes with Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not too sure why he was only paid to be in 5 minutes. And to prove to you my loyalty to the man, I literally spent this is how much movie tickets were back then, $4.50, just to see him in Congo. I was in it with 200 other people in the auditorium. After he was dead, I was the only one literally left in that auditorium, just to see how else Congo would play.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how loyal I am to the man. But Army of Darkness, I don't know how many times I've seen it. It's just because he's in it, and I feel it acts more like a pilot to a TV show because there are two endings. And I'm sure, there was the bootleg edition, and there's the regular version. But there was supposed to be a version where Ash was going to fight the Deadites in the future. And that never happened.
Yeah, that would have been pretty cool, probably.
So, now what they've done with Ash vs. Evil Dead, because of rights issues, Army of Darkness never happened. Now, for some fans they're okay with it, for some they're not okay with it, but for this pilot, it just discusses the second movie. Meaning that somehow Ash, Annie is still dead, Ash apparently, evil was vanquished, but he kept the book, and he lives in a trailer. And because of rights issues, you don't have S-Smart anymore. But as a true value, a value save, whatever that is.
Your basic Dollar General store.
Yeah, it has electronics and everything. There was a fictional flyer for this, from one of the promotions, where Ash apparently is Employee of the Month because he sometimes comes to work, and even though he uses all his sick days, it was this great flyer. Apparently, he's had seniority for 30 years, so he can't get fired, but he lives in a trailer, he's been hiding, and apparently one night he has sex with a woman in the trailer, and they get high, and he reads from the book and he releases the demons, but because he was stoned, he didn't remember doing this.
You also notice in that scene, too, they changed the word, the incantation that brought about the Deadites.
Well, that's what I was curious about, because after watching the first movie and the second movie again, and then watching the pilot, because there's a certain passage in the book to release certain demons, or he just... Because there are multiple pages, there can't just be one right in the middle. There's got to be, different pages in the book to summon whatever demon there is.
No, if you read from the book, it opens a portal to the realm of Deadites and unleashes them on Earth, period.
Okay, so then why are there multiple pages then?
Because it's describing the demons and everything else that comes forth and the stuff that they can do to humans and how best to destroy them, but you actually need to be able to translate the book in order to be able to do that.
How he was able to translate it this time, I'm still not too sure, because again, in the first two versions of the movie, he doesn't do it, it's actually the professor.
Yeah,
And then,
he's there when the tape is read, because that's how the Deadites are summoned in the first two movies, is they play back the recording on
right.
the reel-to-reel that they have sitting in the room, and, he hears Klaatu Barata Nikto played aloud, and those are literally the only words that he knows from the whole damn book.
Yeah, which, of course, again, in the musical, he's the professor, which was great. Or at least he lent his voice. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. The point being now is that if you see in the movie My Name is Bruce, Bruce Campbell makes fun of himself. He's living in a trailer. He hates his fans, and he's forced to star in these sci-fi movies that take 2 minutes to make, and probably $1.50 to produce. In this version, however, he's in a trailer, but he's got a pet iguana, and apparently, because Army of Darkness never happened, he still has a chainsaw, but instead of using it for his hand, he's got this wooden thing that he keeps on, that he just he goes to bars to flirt with women, claiming that he saved kids from being hit by trains, which is great. We do find out a demon is back, at least one of them, and then apparently there's a subplot with a cop that shoots her partner who's possessed, and now she's on suspension.
Yeah, I think that plot line could be, again, I've only seen the first episode, but it seems like that plot line could have a lot of potential, but it's tough for a pilot just because you're only given so much to kind of hook everybody in, and I don't know that the draw was there for that storyline for me to continue watching based solely on that. But I think there's some potential there. I mean, and with the cameo appearance of Lucy Lawless, I'm kind of wondering what her involvement is and how that all's gonna play out.
Actually, I already know what her involvement is. it's going to be, but spoilers, so I won't tell anybody.
I will say this much: it's Xena, and again, since Bruce Campbell was the King of Thieves in Hercules and Xena, I believe, or he was just in Hercules.
Right.
Well, no, if he was the King of Thieves, he was in both. He would have crossed over, because that's the beauty between the two series.
It's a shared universe. One of the first, actually.
And those, of course, dare I say it, despite what you think about Kevin Sorbo, what he said a few years ago, I love both shows. I have them on DVD. I'm sure we'll get to Xena and Hercules one day. It's too long right now. But the only thing I'm going to say is just stay away from that animated movie. You know the one I'm talking about. That Flash animation movie that they tried to work on for kids. When they try to really bring in the younger demographic. I mean, I feel real old, but I remember watching that at my girlfriend's house on a Saturday night. We were just like, I can't remember. There's like a great episode. I know there's a lot of them where they died and they were in hell or something. But yeah, Lucy Lawless, well, she's aged well. I know what her part's going to be in this movie. It just makes sense for her to be part of it. The cop, however, I'm not too sure why they kept her in here. Unless it was an anthology. I'm assuming they're going to have this as a team, but for Weak Link right now, she doesn't seem to work for me, other than the fact that I like the idea that she saw a demon but killed the partner and nobody believes her.
Yeah, I mean, it's always, I mean, that's kind of a classic trope of, horror movies. It's, the cop who was good, but then he did something and nobody understands his side. Well, now he's back for vengeance, That kind of thing's been played out again and again and again. But, seeing it here in this sort of context, it's an interesting spin on it, I think.
It's better than R.I.P.D., I'll give it that.
Hey, back off of R.I.P.D.
Not the comic book series, the movie.
Back off of R.I.P.D.
Okay. Well, at least I got your attention right there. Anywho, we have Pablo. Very interesting. This isn't, what's his name, from Napoleon Dynamite, right?
I don't know. I didn't bother to watch Napoleon about Dynamite.
Yeah. Well,
Pedro,
that's it.
Pedro.
Yeah. Well, whatever it is, we got Pablo and we got Kelly. Pablo just seems to be a guy who admires Ash like a bromance, and Kelly, I guess she's supposed to be the tough-talking chick. I mean, she knows a few moves, and yet there are times... I'm not going to give away too much with bait right now. Any thoughts on these characters?
I think, it puts Ash in a position of, mentor to Pablo, or is it Pablo?
Yeah, Pablo. It's definitely
okay.
Pablo.
It's kind of interesting to see him in kind of the mentor role to Pablo, and him also, trying to be, the romantic lead, or the romantic interest of this girl, and I forget her name.
Kelly.
But, you're right, and, but then she pretty much can best him physically, which is kind of an interesting dynamic, seeing as how, if this is taking place after the first two movies, then, Ash has overcome quite a bit physically. So to see someone that's his equal, it'll be an interesting dynamic, to be sure.
I will say this much. I do like the fact when Ash is... Because here's the thing, too, in all honesty, and I'm just bringing this up, between the first and second movie. Ash, I felt in the first movie, was not fleshed out too much. In the second movie, we got to know a little bit about him, other than they're going to the cabin. But I think in the third movie, we were really starting to get a little bit more about this character. What I like about this series now... we're getting to see more of what Ash is all about. That he's acting more like a player. He's acting real smooth. I do like how he's hitting on Kelly. And Kelly, of course, because apparently she knows karate, she's willing to break his arm in the store because Ash is starting to flirt on her and she's not going to have it. And even though he has one hand, she's willing to break the hand that, the wooden hand and his regular hand, just because, we don't know how old she is. We know in real life Bruce Campbell's in his 50s, but the point being is that she's not going to deal with this. She has no idea who Ash even is. I don't even know how the store stays in business. But I do like the fact, I do appreciate the fact that she has these hypnotic eyes, though. I mean, she really has these beautiful eyes that you can just stare at. Other than that...
Is it a face you'd like to wake up to in the morning?
Yeah.
You also do realize that Evil Dead 2 is technically a remake of the first Evil Dead?
Oh, yeah, I know that. I know the story about
They're
why...
technically not in continuity with each other. It's a remake, so instead of having 6 or 8 friends that go to the cabin, it's just Ash and his girlfriend.
Yeah, I get that too.
Why the fuck would you go back?
Yeah.
I already lost one girlfriend and all of my friends. Why am I going to go back?
Well, the other question I have is, why did Ash keep the book, though? And the other thing is, apparently in this, in the series, Ash has the book, and yet he has a business card of somebody who he got the book from, or somebody who knows something about the book.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen that played out a little bit more.
Well, it's the pilot. I'm not going to give too much away, but in the second episode, they're about to hint on that store.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they will. The journey, I guess, in episode 3 or 4, they're going to finally get to that store. I just don't know if the shop owner is going to be possessed already, but they will finally get to there.
Yeah. I hope the name of the store is something like Exposition Books or, something like that.
No, it's not exposition. God, I forget what the name of the book is. The bookstore is. I think it's like Rare Books or Supernatural Books, something to that effect. I mean, I've only watched it like 16 times, and I should remember the name of the bookstore. But yeah.
We'll forgive you. You were hypnotized by I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point being is that Ash wants to leave because he's hiding out somewhere in Detroit, and he wants to leave with the book because people are being possessed by demons. So he wants to get his final check, but he has to work. And apparently, while he's in the back room, because Sam Raimi wrote and directed this episode, mind you, guess what happens? We get dolls. Yeah. We get killer dolls. And that's kind of a reference to China Doll from Oz the Great and Powerful, with China Doll, with the knife.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got it. It's just been a while.
Do not have a knife.
Yeah.
I did not have a knife.
Hey, look, she had the wand.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that she kind of reminded me of China Doll from Oz the Great and Powerful, that's all.
Well, that makes me scared of you, like, on so many different levels.
Well, apparently you saw a different version of Oz the Great and Powerful than we did.
Right?
Yeah.
Your shit rated R?
Yeah.
Or was it
Well, it's in my alternate universe, of course. It's my world. Yeah.
Well, it seems like the mini versions of characters coming back and stuff is a reoccurring thing, because I'm currently working my way through some of the comics, and that seems to be a thing in the comics.
I have to sit down and read the comics, because the only criticism I got about the Army of Darkness comics and anything that had Evil Dead in it with Ash, that you have Ash, but it doesn't move forward. I've had the video games, but again, I remember getting it for a Dreamcast. I remember that Bruce Campbell was going to voice it, but I also remember that you can go into medieval times, and in all honesty, it came with 2 discs. While trying to navigate through disc 1, I just popped in disc 2, and I found that, I can go into medieval times without playing the first part of the game. And that was pretty much it. I think there were 2 more versions that I just heard got bad reviews, other than Bruce Campbell voicing and just giving out some sound bits. It kind of moves forward.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, I played the other 2 Evil Dead games. One was called FistFull of BoomStick, and the other one was Evil decent storyline, and they were fun to play, and actually had quite a bit of replayability if you like, being Ash and having him with multiple weapons and some funny quips and killing zombies, or excuse me, deadites. I thought it was really great.
Yeah, but the thing is, it was just the controls. I think there were 3 of them. I don't know if FistFull BoomStick is the one that I had for Dreamcast, or I think there was just like 1 Evil Dead game and then there were 2 others. I can't remember if there were total 2 or 3.
Dreamcast came out shortly before the PlayStation, and I think there was one that was exclusively only for Dreamcast. So that might have been the one that you're talking about.
That's the one that I had. Yeah, that's the one where I don't know if BoomStick or Regeneration had you go back to Army of Darkness, but I think the one for the Dreamcast you can go to Army of Darkness. I do know that because you just popped it in, he just fell out of the sky and he was in medieval times, and that was pretty much it.
Hey guys, this is JD from the In Session Film Podcast. Every week on our show, you can join my co-host Brendan and I as we review the latest films that's out in theaters. It also inspires us to discuss a top 3 list of some sort, and we have a lot of other fun movie discussions as well. It's always a blast. And we also have a show on Fridays called our Extra Film Podcast. This is a show that gives us the space to talk about the latest indies and art films and other classics that we normally just don't get to talk about on our main show. You can find our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, Player FM, and more. In fact, you can just see everything about us, including our social medias, at InSessionFilm.com. So join us every week. We'd absolutely love to have you.
Hey everybody, this is Brian.
And this is Tony.
From the Salty Language Podcast.
Part of Podgods Network. Check us out at saltylanguage.com.
We're a podcast about 2 old-time friends just sitting around and talking about whatever chaps our asses.
It's true. Whether it be music, TV, comics, books.
Yep, we have interviews at times.
Get a hold of us at Twitter at salty_language.
And again, go to saltylanguage.com for all of our other links.
So I guess have a beer, you'll be fine.
And stay salty.
Ash tells Pablo, because Pablo goes in the back storage room, he sees that Ash has been attacked by these possessed dolls. He has to get his final check, and why he has to leave the store, and why he can't get it on with Kelly is because he discusses the entire plot of Evil Dead 2, for argument's sake. Pablo wants to be part of this, but Ash is like, no. And then apparently Ash goes back to his trailer once he gets his paycheck, and apparently Kelly is on her phone at work, on the video phone. There's more backstory where her mother apparently died in a car crash 6 months ago, but while she's talking to her father, the mother who supposedly died comes into the house. And we're watching this while Kelly's on her iPhone with the video chat.
FaceTime.
Yeah.
Fucking iPhone.
Yeah, well, so we get a little bit of Kelly's backstory, and Pablo and Kelly want to leave work, but we have the manager, which I think is Mr. Freely, that of course we couldn't get Don Knotts because he was dead, so instead we get this other guy that will not let anyone leave the store, but we get that famous point of view shot where we don't know what the deadite is. It just is like, we see the point of view of it, yeah, just like. Well, I do know for the first 2 Evil Dead movies, it was Sam Raimi on a motorcycle with a camera in front.
Actually, half the time he wasn't even on a motorcycle. He was just running through the woods.
Oh, really?
It's the original Evil Dead. They couldn't afford a motorcycle. their budget was special effects.
Yeah, and they were great special effects.
They cut the camera and run through the woods. And then, realized it was too slow, so I had to speed it up like a half a frame a second.
And I still think that's probably one of the best POV shots. That's Raimi's style. I mean, which was brilliant. So it's brought back. It possesses, of course, the manager of the store. And eventually what happens is that Kelly and Pablo go to Ash's trailer. They try to convince Ash that there are deadites. And apparently Ash's landlady, Vivian, has been possessed. Now, this is a big thing that's happened. If you're watching the online trailers, this is the person that Ash keeps referring to as Granny Let's Dance. And of course, see Ash putting the hand in the chainsaw and carving this woman. This seems to be the big fuck yeah moment.
Yeah, it's Batman clicking the belt on and, revealing the mask. It's that, big hero reveal. That's what everybody waits for.
Michael Keaton and Tim Burton score in the background, ominously looking up at Kim Basinger, with the cowl on for the first time and realized like 12 sizes too big for his head,
Yeah.
The Oingo Boingo soundtrack, yeah, which of course Raimi and Oingo Boingo worked for a while. Which is kind of disappointing because I was kind of hoping Danny Elfman was going to do the score again. But it is what it is. The Vivian fight is okay. It just ends too quickly, I feel. It is weird, though, that if Kelly is supposed to know martial arts, she can't seem to fight a Deadite, which I guess is okay because I guess the demon's more powerful. They never quite kind of say like how powerful the demons really are. They're not using any magic. They're just, it's just people in monster makeup.
Motherfucker, it ain't Yu-Gi-Oh! They don't have their power levels written on the back of the card.
I understand that, but I was just like, I figured in 21st century, since you have a budget, I just would have liked to see a more interesting battle. I mean, I'm okay that they're going back to the 80s, that it's originally. I'm just saying.
Series though is exactly like the movie. There's okay, y'all have had your splooge fest, and I'm about to rain on all of that frickin' parade. I cannot stand this series. I cannot stand it.
Okay.
It's cliche. It is everything that I cannot stand about the 4-guy movies. Yes, it has a couple funny moments, but they didn't update jack shit for this TV series. There's nothing that's new. There's nothing that's innovative. It is the same rehashed Bruce Campbell from Army of Darkness. So if you wanted that to happen again, then so be it. You got your wish. Now he's on TV in these lovely little 45-minute segments. Nothing is new. Now they just get to actually show him screwing around with a girl in the bathroom of a bar. Woo freaking who for the 20th century. Now you can show you having sex in the bathroom at a bar. That's it. There's nothing that was wonderful about Army of Darkness. Because I'll even give the movies their due. They were interesting. They had good concepts. They even had somewhat funny jokes. All I see these hours is tasteless. There's nothing there.
I agree to disagree, but again, with the Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 1 2.
I didn't want to do this podcast.
Well, okay, but
these movies.
Okay, but again, for me, it's Bruce Campbell, and for anyone else out there, there's got to be an Evil Dead just made for you. For me, it's Evil Dead: Dead by Dawn. I love the second one. That's the one I probably watch more than any of Army of Darkness and the first Evil Dead movie.
I was disappointed with Army of Darkness, honestly, because it went more towards the comedy and less towards the horror of the show, and that's what I liked about Dead by Dawn, is that it was a nice blend of, really gruesome, blood-splattering gore, and, some funny quips and moments in between.
That's mine. Mine is the 2013. If I had to pick the lesser of all these evils, that would be the one that I like, and it's because it is a horror movie. They actually bring it to life as a horror movie without the stupid jokes.
Well, here's the thing, too, is that I got the collector's edition of Army of Darkness, and there was a big debate why it went more comical and not horror like the first two movies. One of the reasons were, unfortunately, budget, rights issues, and what Universal wanted over what Sam Raimi could do. And since Sam Raimi didn't have much power back then, and people wanted to find out what happened to Ash, it was kind of like a be careful what you wish for moment. If Sam Raimi had his way, then Army of Darkness would have been a lot more like Evil Dead 2013.
And I would have been fine with it. And I'm not downing on Bruce Campbell. Obviously the man's done something right to get the cult following that he has. But it's just not my cup of tea. It's not at all.
Here's the thing, too. He's still not as fleshed out, the character. But Bruce, he always likes to play these smooth-talking, charming, sleazy characters.
He's not charming.
Well,
he literally disgusts me, and I'm pretty sure that I can speak for a majority of women and say that he is a creepy old pervert who I would not give the time of day to.
Well, there's a good thing you've never watched My Name is Bruce, then. Because that's even...
There's no reason for me to.
Yeah, because that's even more bizarre. Pretty much, this episode, the pilot was 45 minutes. The others are going to be 30 minutes. For those of you who don't have Stars, if you have Stars playing, you have access to your cable provider. You can type in your username and password to watch the rest of the episodes. I believe they're going to come out on DVD with some special features. For me, I'm going to continue watching, mainly for the character, and the fact is, I think this is just a guilty pleasure. It's so stupid, and everybody's being covered in pig's blood, that, for me, it's enjoyable. I'm not saying it's the best thing on TV right now. I do like the fact that they're going to try to go with this 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo type of storyline, where...
How dare you blasphemize?
I'm going to ask. Is it Kelly's eyes that are captivating you, or is it Bruce Campbell's?
If you were watching this for the first time, didn't see any of the movies, but just watched this for the first time, just heard about this through word of mouth and heard about the other movies, would you continue to find out what would happen in this series?
I was a fan of the original movie, the very first one, and then Dead by Dawn, and of course Army of Darkness. I already mentioned that I did play the video games and, read the comics, and I gotta say, with this, part of me is looking at it as the development of the character of Ash, and I really think it's hard for people to root for a character who you don't see grow and change, and, looking at how Ash was at the beginning of this whole, we'll just call it a saga, to include, everything that he's appeared in. He's overcome a lot of different things and made a lot of hard decisions and seen a lot of, fast friends be turned into deadites, and then he's had to kill them. And you would think that that would kind of make him grow as a character and, maybe even mature, into the hero that he's supposed to be, and he kind of hasn't. In fact, someone who doesn't change throughout the circumstances can still be likable. Look at Marty McFly. Marty McFly doesn't really change throughout the course of the movies, but he's still very, very likable. Ash has not really changed over the course of all these things. In fact, as Kendra mentioned, he's gotten worse, and he's pretty gross. He's not a likable character. I don't really feel the need, I don't feel the pull to cheer for him, to kind of hope he's, overcome. As far as him getting with the other characters, that could be interesting as far as some jokes, but the jokes have always come off kind of like either overly written or like not written well enough, and that's always kind of, rubbed my ears the wrong way. Would I keep watching this on Stars week to week? No, I wouldn't. There's some things that I do love about the show. I thought they did a great job with the special effects. There's a couple of shots that I was really impressed with. Like, watching it, I had an audible reaction to them. But it's not really anything I can't see on Walking Dead. Now, the other thing that I liked, which may have been a directorial decision by Sam Raimi, was the expositional scene with Pablo in the stockroom, where they actually projected the old movies on a lot of the cardboard boxes. I actually thought that was like a really cool way to kind of, in case previously on Evil Dead type of thing. So I really enjoyed that, but at the end of the day, I'd probably wait till this was on Netflix or till it was, till the entire season was available, like in the $5 bin at Walmart, just to add it to the collection. But do I feel the draw to watch this week to week? No, I don't.
I'm just going to jump in right now. Again, I own all the Evil Dead movies. The first one, the second one, Army of Darkness, and the 2013 remake. If I would go to best to worst, I think the one I watched the least is the first one without If I don't listen to the audio commentary, I've listened to it without it. I can't listen to it without listening to Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi, and Sam Tappert talk. All the others I can listen to without the audio commentary. But can I continue to watch the show? Was I hooked? Did I want to see what happened next? It's working for me, but the problem with Bruce Campbell, the person and the character are two different things. It's like Howard Stern. If you've seen the movie Private Parts, or if you've seen what Howard Stern is like on America's Got Talent, there's the character and the human. And I think if you pay too much attention to the character and not the human, and you get the two confused, that's going to give your opinion on what the person is like, and I think that's what's going to push people away. Yeah, I don't think Ash has ever really been fleshed out. I can't defend Ash. The only thing I can say is people seem to like the anti-hero. I remember with the 2005 version of King Kong where the guy who apparently is supposed to play the Hollywood leading man says something that the real heroes are the ones with the beer bellies, and they're the ones who can take a punch and throw a punch. I understand that. Ash works as an anti-hero, but he's also... I agree with Kendra, and I agree with you, Todd, that he's extremely sleazy. The reason why it works is because it's just so stupid and silly, people being covered in pig's blood. If I were to dislike this, I would have to dislike every single 70s and 80s B and D movie that I own, and everything I've watched on MST3K. It's a guilty pleasure. It's a nice little piece of fan fiction that Sam Raimi, gave a stamp of approval on. I'll continue to watch it, but if this I'm glad it got a season 2 apparently, but if this gets canceled after season 2 or 3 and it just ends up on Netflix and I just want to see the features and whatnot, that's going to be pretty much it. I say this as the fan, but professionally speaking, no, I don't think it's anything new other than it kind of reminds me of a show on ABC that came out in the 80s called Shadow Chasers, where it was just two parapsychologists. It was after Ghostbusters, and they didn't have the proton packs, they didn't have the PKE meters. It only lasted like 6 or 8 episodes, and I don't know if you remember the Saturday morning cartoon show Kid Video at all, but they actually had a guest role on Shadow Chasers. And that was pretty much it. That's what this reminds me of. The mythology with demons, I don't really think is going to matter, so I guess if you're a diehard fan, but if you're not really missing much.
For nostalgia's sake, I enjoyed the show because it's nice hearing those one-liners and quips again. Hail to the king, give me some sugar, baby, this is my BoomStick. These are all lines that are like ingrained in like movie history now because of Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell. And I mean, I enjoyed it for that sake. It's not something that's like of the utmost importance that I have to watch every single week. But it's still good for that 30 minutes of blood and guts and a couple little jokes here and there. So I'm not gonna dive into Ash being very two-dimensional or whatever have you, because Todd's already handled that very well for the rest of us. But I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was. And like I said, it was a nostalgia trip. Because I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I was about 15 years old when I first saw Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn, and a few years later, Army of Darkness. These are movies that I enjoyed with my dad. And being able to see this now, brought back in a new generation, and other people get to experience this, it makes me smile. It makes me think about those times sitting around with my dad and eating Pizza Hut while we're watching Evil Dead, joking on the one-liners, and, who's laughing now?
Well, for me, it was 8, 10, and 15 for the first 3, but I guess you know how old I was for the... And I've seen them in theaters.
I'll try and be as fair as I possibly can. I would have rather watched Rambo. If I wanted action, I would have rather watched Rambo. This one just, I give it up for the nostalgia's sake, and I understand that this is something that the fanboys and even some of the fangirls were looking forward to, because it was presented as such this amazing thing to bring it back and to bring back some of that, unfiltered awesomeness. But it just felt so flat. It was so flat. I mean, you guys are bringing up, oh, well, I was this age when I started watching it, and I was this age when I started watching it, and I would never, ever allow my child to watch this. Like, we had the kids come out while we were beginning to watch it, and I was like, nope, I need you to turn around and go back to your room and watch, like, some Pokemon. Because it took it way too far. Now, does that mean that, I'm one of those parents that, is going to just let my kids watch it knowing what it is? Hell no. It's nothing but exactly what you said it is. It's a guilty pleasure for those who that humor hits their funny bone. And for me, it's nothing but, honestly, a reminder of a hugely misogynistic time. I hate to pull that card, but it is. I mean, this is a man who obviously, and I know not Bruce Campbell, but Ash. I mean, this is a man who obviously has absolutely no respect for females. None whatsoever. There's nothing there. There's nothing. There's nothing intellectual. There's nothing challenging. There's nothing new. There's nothing exciting. There's a couple. The best parts of the episode were by the backup characters. They weren't even Bruce Campbell. The funniest lines that came out of that first episode were from the backup actors. And that's what I enjoyed about it. I have nothing against Bruce Campbell. I actually did like and enjoyed part of Army of Darkness. But there was nothing in this for me. And I'm really, truly glad we're not giving it a rating. Because even with me only seeing Book of the Dead, or Evil Dead 2013 and Army of Darkness, those are my two. So I'm still a newbie to the world of Bruce Campbell. Oh, okay, apparently we did. That's how much I didn't care because I don't remember watching it. This wouldn't have been something that I would ever want to rewatch or follow up. It didn't have anything that I would want to even come back to.
Yeah, this is going to be... Well, the good news is, folks, this was just part of the HunnicWeen Leftover Candy Special. I was just stoked for this because I found that it was premiering on Halloween night, or actually Halloween morning, so... If you can't...
I'm sorry, Jared. This was just one of those...
No, and that's
the second one that we've disagreed on, and it's not mine.
But that's perfect, because I'm glad we all don't have opinions, and at the end of the day, we're still friends over this. That's fine.
Right.
That doesn't bother me. Yeah.
You know what? This is what I would have rather done. The kind of humor that this was, what would have been funny is if they would have made it into... There's two different types of comedy. I would have been... You know what I would have rather watched? I would have rather watched Austin Powers.
I agree with you with the first one, the third one, the second one I can't get past.
In thinking about alternate versions, before I actually got on the phone, I was talking with the wife about it, and I said, there was an idea presented by Todd McFarlane in his interviews that accompanied the movie Spawn back in 1997, where he mentioned that if somebody, I forget if it was an executive or whoever, said if you could do whatever you wanted with the Spawn movie, what would you do? And he said, I'd take all the money and I'd make it animated. And to be honest, that actually might be a really great way to go with the Evil Dead franchise.
I probably would have liked it so much more.
Yeah, looking at the style of the comic books, which is very similar to what the style of the video games has been, considering difficulty in a lot of different prosthetics, and knowing how many different creatures have appeared in the comics, this might have been a really great way to go with this franchise. And Bruce Campbell was obviously no stranger to voiceover. Also, I think that might have been the start to bringing some of the more popular Army of Darkness comic series to life. For those of you who don't know, in the comics, it's been Army of Darkness versus Reanimator, Army of Darkness versus the classic monsters. That one's been out.
Well, Todd, not to rain on your parade, I can tell you why that's not going to happen. According to New Line, the reason why they're not doing any other version of Ash versus Freddy versus Jason, it was only meant for fans, and sales didn't do too well. That's why it's out of print, and it's very expensive. Even when New Line called Bruce Campbell and said, we're going to do this, and Bruce Campbell said, yeah, Ash can kick both those guys' asses, New Line said, no, and they hung up. I don't know how it would have gone or transpired, but at this point, if it's just animated, yeah, I could almost see an anime. I don't know how they would animate an anime Ash and Bruce Campbell voiced it, kind of like Batman movie, I think Gotham Knight or whatever that was called. We did an anime and Kevin Conroy voiced. I can kind of see that. But as for the comics go, yeah, I've read Marvel vs. Evil Dead or Marvel vs. Army of Darkness. Again, it's Ash, but the fact that he stares at, I think it's Scarlet Witch's body before she's turned into a zombie because she's bitten, and he's just checking around, he's being sleazy, and he goes to different parts of the universe with the Necronomicon, and in one part, his brains are eaten by Howard the Duck. It's funny, but I don't know if I would still pay to see it just because, you know, even if you had Army of Darkness versus Reanimator, as you said, yeah, I know that he fights Herbert West, and you can get the original actors back and make work, but animated or not, you still have to get the right writer and director that understands these characters. You just can't put Bruce Campbell in a movie, because here's the other problem, too. You've put him in movies, and just because of the name, doesn't mean I own every Bruce Campbell property.
Right.
And even he's directed. I mean, My Name is Bruce was just out of pity, but Bubba Hotep, no. Moontrap, no. Maniac Cop, whatchamacallit, This Man with Screaming Brain, sorry. I like the stories, but the movies, and I know he tries very hard, but just because of the name doesn't mean I'm gonna, you know, there's a side of loyalty and there's a side of just like, I'm not that big of a Bruce Campbell fan to own every little nook and cranny. Other than the last thing that I purchased so far has been the audiobook of his autobiography. And that's pretty much it. I don't know if if I pick up the comics, will I hear Bruce Campbell's voice? Probably. I don't know if I'm going to go out now and search for the other two video games and figures and everything else. I'm just going to say one thing. The first two movies are unique. The second one is legendary. The third movie is a cult classic because he's in it, and I guess, you know, of reasons why we already said. And the fourth movie makes up for the first one. That's it. And this one just kind of like, the show just kind of like continues and gives us Evil Dead 4 because fans wanted it. That's it. That's all it comes down to. So, I mean, are the comics going to be worth it? Todd, you're saying yes, I'll purchase them, but I don't think we're going to be reviewing them on here anytime soon. But I will.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I may just pick up Reanimator just out of curiosity to see him fight Herbert West, but I don't know anything else, you know, and that'll be pretty much it. But until then, folks, 2 more episodes to record before we take a long winter's nap. I know next week Thanksgiving will be coming up. We do have another old versus new, which will be good. And we still have a long Halloween. And then we come back better in January, thank God. I think we all need this break. Which is
sure. I mean, you know, it's getting to be that time of the year. Schedules get hectic, especially with the holidays. Trying to get to see all the family and do all the stuff. So.
Some of us are working.
Yeah, I know I am. But the one regret that I have, just out of curiosity, is anybody going to see the movie Krampus at all?
Yes.
Yeah, I figured.
I don't know.
I was almost considering, like, begging and pleading to review this, but I did see Trick or Treat, so...
That's a great movie.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to say, but I don't know how I can stranglehold us to talk about it. I don't know how we're going to do this one, if we could ever do it. But if not this year, maybe, you know, after the holidays or something. I am kind of curious, so I did get my ticket for that. Thank God. So, it looks good from what I've seen. And then
it looks like it'll be a fun one.
If it's not Star Wars, I don't give a shit.
Well, and then, of course, speaking of Christmas Day, well, we got another Quentin Tarantino movie, Hateful Eight.
Yep.
Another one I got my tickets for. I got like 4 free tickets, especially at work because I did a survey. So they gave me 2 free movie tickets, and I got 2 for Giving Blood. So that's gonna be a great. That's gonna be a great 3 hours to watch Hateful Eight. And of course, if I can sneak in somehow Star Wars Episode 7, because Star Wars, it's on everything, including Campbell's Soup.
Yeah.
This is Maybelline makeup, everything. I'm not bad.
Did you hear about the guy Daniel?
Oh,
was
yes.
Before he passed away, and J.J. Abrams petitioned Disney to let him watch it.
Did you get to see it?
Before he died. He got to see it, and he died yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. That's.
I actually posted a thing on my wall about it this morning before I went to bed, and that's amazing. I mean, he got to live his final wish before he succumbed to his illness. Trying to help that guy out.
I think that's a class act right there, and I think that was really nice. I had heard about this. I was one of the people that did sign the petition. I'm glad that. Well, I think it's also good PR, and I think it really would have been, really shitty on Disney if this guy didn't get to see Episode 7. I am kind of curious how this movie played it, but you know what? J.J. Abrams, so how bad could it really be? None?
If his Star Trek reboot was any indication that it's going to be fucking amazing.
Well, I'll get to see it in February, but until then, Todd, anything new to plug?
Let's see. We're putting together the special editions for First Adventures on Earth with Adam and Steve book. That Kickstarter should be hit just before the holidays, I'll be in Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina this coming weekend, November 13, 14, 15 for NC Comic Con. I'll be there with my artist and boss, Michael Watkins with Hybern Studios. So if you're in the area, stop on by, say hello. Working on a special project with Ed and Kendra. Seems to be going pretty well, and I'm excited for that. So you can find me on Facebook, and you can find me on Twitter at Mr. Todd A. Davis, and you can find Adam and Steve at our publisher's website, Hybern Studios, Hybern.com. It's HIGHBURN.com.
I just beat Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yay!
Love you for that.
I'll probably be doing a 2 for tomorrow with Hunnicoutcast Presents at Gaming News and Reviews page, breaking out both Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes and A Phantom Pain in 2 little reviews, giving my 2 cents on both of the games.
There's so much going on right now. Like, I wish that I could remember everyone. We've got stuff for All Hell Studios. I've got the 50,000 challenge for National Novel Writing Month going. I've got Dress finally going for All Hell Studios. It's one of my stories. We're finally getting artists on it. I've got a cover that I can't say who the artist is, and it's killing me, for Shane Will, CK Studios, for his books for Tomorrowland. I'm working with Nick Garber on his books. Until We Sleep is still doing the Angel Wars. We've got that going. Night Owl's still going. Woe is still going. I mean, there's literally like a endless list of things that I am working on at this moment in time.
For me, as you know, after I'm editing and putting out the podcasts, working on, and I'm sorry I wasn't procrastinating on this one, folks, with my grandmother in her 90s, and her health is in and out, and she doesn't want to admit what's really going on, and I can understand at 96. But I do promise, come hell or high water, I will have the written review of Devastation, and of course Ed and I are working on the Battlefront review in a few weeks. Next week we have an old versus new, which will be good.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, and this is going to be a good one. A nice little holiday old versus new. And, of course, I'm going to be working on some written reviews. I did contact Geekcast Radio Network. I was writing reviews for Gotham. I can't write them anymore. I can't watch the show anymore. I posted on Facebook the other day. After watching last night's episode, I dropped the microphone and I walked away. I just can't. And I'm not going to spoil it, because I promised. So I just can't. And as for Walking Dead, the same thing. I'll watch it, but that's pretty much it. And Scream Queens as well. It's just like, God, so much. With the exception of the Muppets, but I can't really write a review for that, unfortunately. But I will be doing some kind of written reviews somewhere on Geekcast. And as you know, we have a top 100 list going on that I was able to write the list for.
And when in doubt, watch American Horror Story.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I got American Horror Story. And you know what? While all of you are going to be watching Part 2 of Mockingjay, I decided to go back and watch Battle Royale. And I think a written review... What?
Wow.
No, it's not the second one. It's the first one. The first one. The first one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the first one. Don't worry. No.
I'll change this today on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah. The first... Not Rec Room. Yeah. We'll pretend the Battle Royale 2 never happened.
Well, that's fine, because while you're doing that, I'm going to be starting a GoFundMe so I can get Fallout 4.
Yeah, we have to work on that, don't we?
No, we don't.
Yeah.
No, we don't. We are not giving in to Edward's one.
No, you're not going to listen to my wife. You're going to listen to me because it's Fallout 4.
Yes, sir.
Oh, speaking of reviews, Lord have mercy. I have 2 of them that are going up on the anime page. Wait, don't work. The first one is on. It's called Valkyrie Drive. It is the mermaid one. So that one is up on Funimation. You can view it. There's 5 episodes.
Okay.
It is TVMA, so please do not watch with children.
Okay.
And then the second one I'm going to do is called Fruit Basket.
Oh, not bad. Until then, folks.
This is my boomstick.
No, that's...
Shop smart.
Yeah, shop smart. Just shop for Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. I'm Blu-ray.
Stop Hunnic smart.
Yeah. We'll talk to you all next time.
By the power of Grayskull, I command the jaw bridge. Open!
The Powers of Grayskull series will cover every episode of all 4 Masters of the Universe cartoons. Join Optimus Solo and myself, TF2 and Mike, as we tell tales of Eternia, discover the myths of Etheria, become masters in space, and finally Masters of Grayskull. We'll have a commentary on the Secret of the Sword film, and a few other special episodes. You can find this 125-episode-long podcast in iTunes and on the web at geekcastradio.com. By the power and honor of Grayskull, we all have the power.
Hurry, Skeletor, hurry! I am hurrying, I'm hurrying!
Hey Geekcast listeners, do you ever listen to Punisher Body Count and think to yourself, this show would be awesome if it had less toilet humor and was not about the Punisher? If so, join me, Emily Williams, as I class up the Punisher guys on Dane and Jake Get Classy, or like the Oprah Book Club of comics. You'll hear us discuss famous works like The Dark Knight Returns and The Crow, along with graphic novels no one else is talking about, like Blue Monday and Blankets. You can find us at daneandjakegetclassy.wordpress.com or on iTunes.
Both. I am German after all. But my point...
What does that have to do with the price of tea in China?
I have no idea what. I'm going to have so much fun editing this podcast. But...
No, you're just going to leave everything in because it's Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
The only reason that you being German would have any semblance whatsoever to that conversation is if it was Italia.
I was going to say, if Bruce Campbell was in Italy.
Okay.
Aww.
As we wind down with this, my question is right now. Kendra, I know what you're going to say, but Todd, after watching the pilot, did you feel...
I got shut down.
Well, you bashed Bruce Campbell, I mean...
Well, you can go fuck yourself. Of course I'm gonna bash him. I told you I don't like this damn series.
Okay, but let's be honest, though. Okay.
We were gonna let Kendra do her thing or not.
If you want, I can, because I know you're gonna be like, you know what? Kendra's got a point.
Well, this is why I'm saying being the best for last, because I really want to hear what you're going to say on this one. And I'm fine with that.
Dude, that was so, it's like, you know, you need to wipe your nose off. It's so brown right now.
God, let's go. Let's do it.